Hello everyone. Today I'm going to look at 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 1. Paul writes, "Therefore, since we have this ministry, as we have received mercy, we do not lose heart." Why does Apostle Paul say this? We don't lose our heart. We have received a different ministry. And as you read the third chapter, and he would be talking about the Moses' ministry and his ministry. And he says, we have received this ministry, and it is the act of the mercy of God. And therefore, I don't lose heart. To understand this, and I want to take you to Numbers chapter 11. Numbers chapter 11, there is an incident in the wilderness. People want meat, and Moses is not able to provide, and he gets irritated, and he goes before God in Numbers chapter 11, verse 14, and he says, God, I'm not able to carry the burden of the people. You got to do something. And then God comes and he tells him in verses 16 and 17, Numbers chapter 11, you call 70 people and assemble them before the tent of the meeting. Consecrate them. I will take the Spirit of God which is upon you, and I will put it upon these 70 people, so that they can be the helpers, because they also will have the Spirit of God. And he comes and tells the people in verse 24, and the next day, and the 70 assemble. Somehow, two of them are left out, and they will be in the camp. And when God takes the spirit of Spirit of God that is upon Moses and puts it upon these people, and these people begin to prophesy. And the two people that were not present, and they would prophesy in the camp. And the man sees, and he comes and tells Moses that there are two people that are prophesying in the camp. And immediately Joshua would say to Moses in verse 28, ask them to stop immediately. And this is $1 million statement that Moses would say. In verse 29, let me read it for you. Joshua, are you jealous for my sake? Would that all Lord's people were prophets, and it would have been better that the Lord placed his Spirit upon all people. Look at the man of God's desire. What he wants is, if only the Spirit of God is upon every single person in wilderness, Moses think my job would have been easy. Right? They have the Spirit of God, and they can hear God, and God can lead them. And what a easiest job that I would have, Joshua, if God's people would have received the Spirit of God. Right? And so when Apostle Paul says in 2 Corinthians 4:1, we have received this ministry, therefore we don't lose heart. Did you see Moses losing heart? Yes. What was the problem for him? People were not able to understand. What did he cry out? He cried out the Spirit of God to be upon all people. And today, if you read 2 Corinthians 3, and Apostle Paul explains the ministry of Moses, and then he explains the current ministry. And he says, this is not the ministry that Apostle Paul has to strive much. It is the ministry, it is not the ministry of letter that Moses had. And he writes it is the ministry of the Spirit of God. The Spirit of God writes on the tablets of the hearts of people, and his job is very, very easy. And in conclusion, he says, therefore, we have received this kind of ministry, where people have the Spirit of God when they believe, and God seals them with his Spirit in Ephesians 1:13. And Apostle Paul is saying, why should I lose heart when God's Spirit is in them, and God's Spirit can lead them? And he says, in fact, they are the letters of Christ, and Christ writes on their hearts. So friends, so we have this ministry. The Spirit of God is in our hearts, in our children, and in our spouses, if they are believers, right? As a family together, and we can come together, and we can believe that God would lead each and every single person. And we can also say that we have received a different ministry. It is not the ministry unto condemnation. It is the ministry unto life. Why should we lose heart? Amen. Thank you so much.